Everybody keeps calling this a betrayal, and that sounds nice. It sounds dramatic, it sounds clean, it sounds like the kind of thing WWE loves to slap on a poster because it fits in one sentence and makes the whole story easy to understand. But here's the problem. Betrayal only works when the other guy is innocent. And I do not think Cody Rhodes is innocent. I think Randy Orton looked at Cody Rhodes, looked at what he has become, looked at what WWE keeps presenting him as, and finally came to one ugly conclusion. This is my fault. Not because Cody attacked him first, not because Cody lied to him, not because Cody cheated him, but because Cody became the exact kind of polished, worshipped, corporate-approved golden boy that someone like Randy Orton would absolutely despise. And worse than that, Cody became great at it. That is what makes this story dangerous, because this is not just Randy turning on Cody. This is Randy looking at a man he once helped shape, once stood beside, once viewed like family, and realizing that version of Cody has now become something bigger, shinier, safer, and in Randy's eyes, faker than the original. That is why this feud feels different. That is why the attack at the contract signing did not feel like random violence. It felt personal. It felt loaded. It felt like something that had been rotting inside Orton for a long time before he finally snapped and let it breathe. WWE framed that March 13th segment around Orton shocking Cody during the WrestleMania 42 contract signing, then kept the issue alive with Orton's explanation the following week. And that brings us to the first issue. Randy Orton is not acting like a jealous challenger. He is acting like an offended creator. That is a completely different emotion. A jealous challenger wants the belt. An offended creator wants to tear down the thing that replaced him. And that is the energy all over this feud. Because think about Cody Rhodes for a second. Look at how WWE presents him. Perfect suit, perfect entrance, perfect speeches, perfect legacy language, perfect tears, perfect posture, perfect symbolism. He is the guy who always sounds like he knows the cameras are on him, like every sentence was polished in a lab, like every emotional beat has already been approved by the board of directors and stamped with the words future face of the company. And fans eat it up because it works. That is the key. It works. Cody does not come off like a fraud in the obvious cartoon way. He comes off like a man who has mastered the image of righteousness so well that nobody even stops to ask whether the image itself is the problem. Randy Orton would ask that question? Of course he would. This is Randy Orton. This is a man whose whole legacy is built on instinct, violence, malice, paranoia, and the idea that underneath every smiling wrestling star is something vicious waiting to get out. So when Orton looks at Cody Rhodes, he probably does not see a hero. He sees a man performing heroism at an elite level, and to someone like Randy, that is even worse, because fake evil is easy to spot. Fake goodness is much more dangerous. Now add the history, add the mentorship, add the fact that Cody was not just some random guy from another era. He was around Randy. He learned from Randy. He watched how stars survive in WWE. He watched how power works. He watched what it takes to become untouchable. And now he has taken all of those lessons, cleaned them up, dressed them in expensive fabric, wrapped them in legacy language, and sold them back to the audience as purity. That would drive Randy insane. Because in Randy's mind, Cody is not just succeeding. He is succeeding with a version of stardom that makes men like Orton look obsolete. That is where this gets nasty. Because Randy does not just hate Cody for being champion. He hates what Cody represents. Cody is proof that WWE found a more presentable version of the dangerous, legacy-driven, top-level main event player. A version with less venom, less unpredictability, less blood in the water, less mess. And maybe Randy can live with being past. But being replaced by a cleaner version of your own archetype, that is the kind of thing that makes a man go from bitter to cruel. Which brings us to the next problem. Orton's violence has not felt impulsive, it has felt corrective. That distinction matters. When he attacked Cody, it did not feel like he lost control. It felt like he believed he was restoring something, like he was dragging this story away from the shiny WWE poster version and back into what he thinks wrestling is actually about. Predators, pressure, truth, pain, and then WWE made it even uglier. Because Orton did not just explain himself on March 20th. The same night, he destroyed Matt Cardona in a fake apology segment. That was not subtle booking. That was WWE telling you Orton does not care about looking justified anymore. He wants to make his point with bodies. That is not a normal heel promo beat. That is a mission statement. And when Cody returned on March 27th and the thing exploded into a brawl, it only reinforced what this feud has become. This is no longer about polite WrestleMania promotion. It is about two men trying to force the other into revealing their real self. That is why I keep coming back to one ugly thought. What if Randy Orton truly believes Cody Rhodes made him do this? Not in the weak, cowardly, look what you made me do excuse way. I mean in the psychological mirror way. Like, Randy looked at Cody and saw every compromise, every performance, every lesson, every survival tactic this business teaches, now perfected inside one man who still gets to call himself the hero. That would be unbearable, because then Cody is not the antidote to Orton. He is Orton with better PR. And if that is how Randy sees him, then this entire feud changes. Now the assault is not betrayal, now it is exposure. Now Orton is not trying to take Cody's title just because he wants another run. He is trying to prove that the company's golden child is made of the same poison as the snake they spent years pretending was too dangerous to fully trust. And that is why WrestleMania matters so much. Not because Randy needs to win the championship, he does not. Honestly, he might not even need to leave with the belt at all, because Randy's real goal is bigger than that. He wants Cody to crack. He wants Cody to stop sounding like a poster. He wants Cody to stop looking like the perfect champion for 1 second and show everyone the same insecurity, desperation, ego, and rage that men like Randy have always known lives underneath the surface. That is the real game. Make Cody ugly. Make Cody emotional. Make Cody selfish. Make Cody desperate enough to stop being the noble prince and become what Randy has been accusing him of this entire time. That is how Randy wins, even if the referee never raises his hand. Because if Cody walks into WrestleMania as the company's chosen hero and walks out looking rattled, unstable, self-righteous, or vicious, then Randy's entire argument becomes true. And that is where this gets even more uncomfortable, because there is a very real chance Randy is right. Not fully right. Not morally right. Not let's cheer the psychopath right. But psychologically right? Absolutely. Cody Rhodes has become so polished, so protected, so symbolic that the audience barely notices how much of his identity now depends on controlling the way the story is told. And Randy Orton is the worst possible opponent for a man like that. Because Randy does not just beat people. He ruins the version of themselves they want the audience to believe. That has always been his gift. He does not attack your body first. He attacks the story you tell about yourself. And Cody Rhodes has built his entire career around one story. The comeback, the legacy, the mission, the destiny, the redemption. But Randy is not buying any of that. Randy is basically looking at Cody and saying, I know what you really are. I know what this business makes men become. And I know you are not above it just because you cry better than the rest of us. That is vicious. That is personal. And honestly, that is compelling as hell, because the safest reading of this feud is that Randy Orton turned on his friend because he is bitter and violent and cannot handle Cody's success. That is the easy version. The better version, the much darker version, is that Randy looked at Cody Rhodes and realized the biggest monster in this story is not the Viper. It is the smiling champion who learned from the Viper so well that he now gets to wear white while pretending he was never built with venom. So, no. I do not think Randy Orton is simply betraying Cody Rhodes. I think Randy Orton is reacting to something he believes he helped create. A cleaner predator, a prettier snake, a more camera-friendly killer. And at WrestleMania, Randy may not prove that Cody is worse than him. He may only need to prove something much colder, that Cody is more like him than anybody wants to admit. And if that happens, then this is not the story of Cody defeating Randy Orton. It is the story of Randy Orton forcing Cody Rhodes to meet the version of himself he has been hiding behind the suit, the smile, and the speeches the entire time. And once that version steps into the light, you do not call it betrayal anymore. You call it recognition.